problem. It's a free radical and peroxidation. That's what happens. Patient comes with abdominal pain, GI bleeding. Highlight radio opaque pills seen on X-ray, because these are iron, so radiation cannot go through that. So it will look like a white color, queens in the stomach. Okay, a lot of queens in the stomach, folks. Okay, may progress to anion gap metabolic acidosis, multi-organ failure, lead to scarring and GI obstruction and all those things, folks. When they come to the hospital, the first thing we do, gastric lavage. We want to try to take out as much as possible and then give some medication to see if they can get rid of it, okay? So that's how we treat acute iron poisoning. Are we clear? All right. Now, so that's that. So I'm not going to go into leukemia today, but don't get scared. We're going to talk about a little bit of introduction, okay? So now, when we say leukemia and lymphoma, right, let's understand the big picture, because most of the time we think it's a very difficult topic. It's not. So you have a blood vessel, let's say that's a blood vessel. Inside the blood vessel, you have neutrophil and lymphocyte. I'm just writing both of them because that's what we are talking about. Now, in the blood vessel, we have neutrophil and lymphocytes. Now, these two cells can overproduce or overproliferate, and we call it leukemia. We call it leukemia when you overproduce neutrophils or overproliferate neutrophil and lymphocytes within the blood vessels. So for us to call it leukemia, emia, mia mean in the blood, so it has to be within the blood vessels. Are we clear, folks? Alize, good?
Is this an or an and situation?
Say it again.
Or neutrophil or?
Yes, it's two types of leukemia. We have ALL and AML, for example, right? Lymphocytic or myelogenous. So both cells. So people can get neutrophil leukemia or people can get lymphocytic leukemia. Is that clear, folks? So that's within the blood vessel. So we call it leukemia. Now, sometime what happens is this lymphocytes only can leave the blood vessel and go to lymph node. Don't ask me neutrophil. Neutrophil don't go to lymph node. Is that clear, folks? Only lymphocytes goes to lymph node. In the lymph node, we have B and T lymphocytes. Is that clear, folks? Now, I have to ask you a question. Where do you see B cells? Where do you see T cells in the lymph node? Type it up. I saw Libya's message, last message you sent me prostate. I was like, she wrote prostate B cell, okay. No, I know it's a last message, I'm just kidding. All right, so B cells in the follicles, T cells in the paracortex. Is that clear, folks? Now, so when the lymphocytes leave the blood vessel and they go to lymph node, we call it lymphoma. Okay? Then we call it lymphoma. So you should know leukemia, specifically L leukemia, lymphocytic leukemia, can become lymphoma. Is everybody clear, folks? Okay, so that can become lymphoma. Or people could just get lymphoma from lymph node. So if I ask you lymphoma, what type of lymphoma would you get? T cell lymphoma and B cell lymphoma. Does that make sense, folks? So that's a different. Now, if I ask you, can neutrophil ever become lymphoma? The answer is no, because neutrophil never go to lymph node. Is that clear, folks? So that's a big picture, okay? Any question to me in this? Okay, now when we talk about leukemia now, in the blood vessel, patient comes with really high WBC, white blood cells, okay? Don't write this now. I'll give you time to copy. Just watch it. Okay, you have a whole time to write it down. When people come with increased WBC, that means it's like more than 35,000 to 50,000. Okay, there are even 70,000. I'm just picking a random number. Whenever patient comes with increased WBC, we suspect leukemia because that's not normal to have that much of WBC, folks. Okay. On the other hand, some people can come with a really low WBC, very low WBC. That's also leukemia. Okay. Now, really low, but this is very rare and so subspecialty. USMLE or anywhere, unless you are a hematologist, we do not talk about that. For medicine, we only think increased WBC is leukemia. Is everybody clear? Now, when patient has increased WBC, I am possibly think it's leukemia. Now, I need to know, is this leukemia acute or chronic? Is everybody clear, folks? Now, when I want to know acute or chronic, what do I look? I'm looking at the WBC to see what type of cell is increased. If it is increased blast, then we call it acute. Increased blast, okay? I'll explain what type of blast in a moment. If I see increased site, that's mature cell. Blast is immature. I'll write that's immature. This is sites that's mature. Is everybody clear, folks? Then sites. If it is sites, I'm going to tell it's chronic. All good? That's two differentiation. Now in here, I'm going to look at it, what type of blast. If it is increased lymphoblast, I already know it's acute and lymphoblast, then I will call this ALL. And if this is increased myeloblast, myeloblast is a precursor for neutrophil, then we call it AML. Is everybody clear, folks? Okay, go ahead and write this down so far. So we look at the blast cell. That blast could be lymphoblast or myeloblast. If it is lymphoblast, we call acute lymphoblastic leukemia. If it is myeloblast, acute myelogenous or myeloblast leukemia. Is that clear, folks? All right, go ahead and write. All good? All right. On the other hand, if you see chronic, we're going to see if it increase lymphocytes, mature cell, we call it CLL because it's mature. Increase myelocytes, in another word, it's a neutrophil, technically, we call CML. You see, we got 4 types of leukemia. That's your first step of identifying it. That's CLL and CML. Any questions so far? No? Okay. But is this making sense, folks? Okay, should be very careful and easy. If you see, when I look at WBC, okay, WBC is high. Okay, leukemia. Then I say, okay, there's a lot of blast. Then I know it has to be either lymphoblast or myeloblast. If I see myeloblast, then I know it's AML. Is that clear, folks? If I see lymphoblast, then I know it's ALL. Of course, this is the basic. We're going to add even more information to reconfirm, but with this information, you cannot miss it. Question, Iman?
I was just saying that's amazing. This subject has always been horrible for me because it's just so much to remember, and I've never seen it broken down this fabulously. It's wonderful. I'm excited.
I wish I knew this when I studied for Step 1. I didn't. I get jealous when I teach you guys. Like, how come I didn't know this when I was studying it, right? So, all right. So that's the basics to break it down, folks, okay? Now, I'm not going to go further here. Then you could also see these two. These two are involved of lymphocytes, isn't it, folks? So those both can change into lymphoma because they are lymphocytes. So if I ask you, only ALL and CLL can really change into lymphoma because they are lymphocytes. They could travel to lymph node. Is that clear, folks? Okay, they could travel to lymph node because sometime I will show you here. Where is it? Look at this, just to show you. Acute lymphoblastic leukemia can become lymphoma because it's lymphoma, right? So then we know it's pretty bad because it started in the blood vessel. Now it has gone all the way to the lymph node. Is everybody clear, folks? Okay, so that's the big picture of this. Okay, this should be there first. And then what we're going to do on Monday, we're going to add more information to even reconfirm. And there's so much to that. Okay, this is very start to begin. Okay, but this is the main classification, folks. Okay, this is the main classification. And then it becomes easy as we go through that. It's all good. All right, so that's actually all for today. I don't want to start more today. All right, we'll make it a good Friday. All right, so now go ahead. Subham, you have a question?
Yes, sir. What did you write before CML?
Before CML, oh, myeloblast, myelocytes. Let me write it down. Myelocytes, myelocytes is exactly same as neutrophil. That's another word. Okay.
Okay.
Neutrophil has three terminology. Let me write all three of them. Neutrophil is called myelocyte, also called metamyelocytes. All tells you it's matured neutrophil. Okay, that's the idea, folks. Yeah, so that's the best way to break it down. You see, I mean, it is difficult. The only time you break it down is when you love a topic and when you learn it like that. That's what I do. I try to sit and see what else I can do to make it easy, right? That's basically how you go. The reason I'm sharing that with you, if you study and you enjoy and study, you will learn better. If you sit and study for the sake of it, never. I never seen somebody passing Step 1 that because they have to pass. Okay, it never happened. You have to really enjoy when you study, folks. Okay, the only topic, if you really ask me that I should just do it to understand or to learn pass, is biostatistics, nothing else. Okay, that's the only topic because you get about 6 questions in your exam. But even biostatistics, there are some terminology you actually makes more sense when you know it. Okay, so but other than that, you have to really enjoy and study, folks. That's the only way you could do that. That's the way to learn. Now, that's all for today. Any question for me? So your job today